So the first thing I do when an instrument comes in where the bridge needs to be taken off for whatever reason, I scribe around the bridge, the full footprint, with a brand new number 11 Scalpel blade. These cost like $10 for a box of 100, so just grab a new one at the drop of a hat. And this will ensure the greatest gluing surface, so 100% footprint. So skipping ahead a little bit, this is a kind of a dummy guitar that I'm using for this tutorial. The bridge isn't ready to be glued on, but I tape up the inside. Then to get well, you'll see why I do this in a little bit, but I lay down some low tack tape, the 3-inch tape that Stu Mac sell, and I scribe around the back first, and then on the sides I just move the Scalpel blade out about a 32nd or a mil and a half. Then I move the whole thing forward and scribe the front edge of the bridge, and that gives me a nice cutout shape which I can apply over the finish without damaging any new or vintage finish. So you just peel this off, and a good tip is to tape up one end, fold it back on itself, and you can see there on my far right hand that I've done the sort of a tab on the low tack tape. And I'm just laying this down neatly, and you get a nice 1 to 2 mil finish edge around the bridge. And here I'm jumping back and forth in my footage, but you get the idea. Now here is the next tip, which I got this idea from a cello making friend of mine who does this to index his cello fingerboards. So what I do, I get the cheapest, nastiest masking tape that I can find, like $1 a roll kind of stuff, and I just cut into it like that, and it's usually about a mil thick, something like that, and 43 thou, so 1 mil is 40 thou thick. And then I get some scissors and cut it, and I use the edge of the masking tape, not the cut surface but the edge, and I use that as a tab to push hard up against the perfectly placed and clamped bridge. And I add as many as I think I need. It's minimum of 6, which takes care of every area, but sometimes I'll put a couple more on in the middle of the front and back just to be sure. And you can see that I'm pushing that edge up hard against the bridge, so there's no chance of this bridge moving when I do the final glue up, because the importance of this is that I can just index the bridge straight away without even thinking. See, that's placed there, and it's not going to slip back and forth. It's just locked in place, so to speak, by the use of these tabs. I've been using this tab technique for a few years now, and when I use hot high glue, this technique has been absolutely invaluable, and I really love it. Another really good way to ensure that the bridge isn't going to move is to use these Teflon bridge pin locating dowel things from Stu Mac, which I recently learned about these from Doug Proper on the Luth group when he was doing a talk with the Dan and Doug show. And these are kind of self-explanatory, but the Luth group I want to talk about. The Luth group is an online resource for luthiers of all levels to come together and share their knowledge as basically a hive mind. The website, which is luthgroup.com, is full of amazing resources like this map which shows the members, which is about 1,000 around the world at the moment. This is me in Grand Junction, but you can zoom in to anywhere in the world and see what's going on there. We're a bit light on Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, unfortunately, but we're in America, Western Europe, Singapore and India. Other parts of the website show this is the feed, which is the general feed of what's going on with members. The nucleus of this website is the archive, and these are the videos and interviews which have been conducted by various members. There is 14 pages of these, and this is a video by Iris Carr. It's a pretty recent one, and this one goes for an hour and 45 minutes, and there are 14 pages of stuff like this. It's just fantastic resource, just things you don't get anywhere else, and it's just hours of information from world-class luthiers. Each member has their own page, so you can look them up and see what their speciality is, and there's also the contributing partners.
Ian Devlin, Dan Earlywine, Doug Proper, Michael Batchkin, Gary Hayes, James Rodman, Grace DeMaron, and last but not least, Evan Gluck. Fuck yeah!
There's also a calendar for upcoming events and international events. However, I've saved the best to last, which is the Luth group. And basically this is every member of the Luth group has the ability to live stream their workshop. And if you run into a problem, you can ask in real time, however many Luths are on at any one time from around the world. You basically never get stuck not knowing something ever again. And the Luthalong is proven to be the most valuable resource for the Luthies involved. It's just incredible. I love it. There's also some fun Luth-based merch, so check that out. If you want to become a part of the Luth group, just go to their Patreon page and join. There's 2 different tiers based on how much information you want to get and pay for, basically. So with the tabs in place, I'm sorting out what cauls to use for whatever bridge I'm using. These are the TJ Thompson bridge glue and cauls. Shumac sell them, as does TJ Thompson on his website, Pro Luthier Tools, I think it's called. So I'm just using the bottom 3 black things here in this picture, but the really cool things are the top 2 parts, which are designed to fit over an X-brace, and one side of them is a little bit longer than the other, so one side touches the top itself and the other side touches the bridge plate, and it just creates this really good bond for, or surface for, clamping up the bridge wings. So here I am just heating up the components being the top and the bridge, and this part is very important for what I do or how I do it, which will make sense. So I just use any wax product to wax off the bridge. Normally not needed, but for the technique that I use, you'll see why. So just do the sides of the bridge and don't get any on the bottom. If you do get any on the bottom, just give it a quick scrape. So this is me with a very small brush brushing on some high glue after the area's been heated up and the bridge has been heated up. And sometimes I put the bridge on the hot high glue pot to heat up as well, and there's various ways you can do that. But I take about 20 seconds to do this. I could do it. I've since bought a bigger brush, and this would go a lot quicker with a bigger brush. Bigger the better. And I think it takes about 40 seconds for me to get the first clamp on, which is more than it should take, frankly, but I just had that tiny little brush that I pissed around with for 20 seconds, so I could have got that down to 2 dips, so 5, 6, 7 seconds. But as soon as you get that middle clamp on, the bridge should be very well seated because you've done a lot of preparation work and you've fit the radius of the bridge to the radius of the top. And if you have a good matching radius, then as soon as you get that middle clamp on, you're more than halfway there. But obviously I clamp as many clamps on as I can onto this area just to make sure. You kind of really only need 3, 1 in the middle and 1 on each wing, but I usually add those 4th and 5th clamps just to be on the safe side. The safe side is always the best side. So here's a close-up of the mess that's left afterwards. As you can see, I really blob on that high glue. I do it quickly, and I don't worry about the squeeze out right now. And there's a good reason for that, and it correlates to why I waxed off the bridge wings. So I found out a kind of a strange thing in regard to high glue batches. In previous batches, I had to wait about 15 minutes before I could remove the glue, and this will all become obvious later on. But this batch, I seem to have had to have waited about half an hour for the glue to dry or gel to the correct consistency to not leave any residue. In my previous batch, which was from LMI, it seemed to gel very fast, or much faster, and after 15 minutes I could take it off all this paper, and there was basically 0 residue. You can see all that residue there, and again I'm bumping around with footage here. Here's a different bridge. But this batch of glue is the same batch, but I waited about half an hour, and you can see what the result should have been in that last bit of footage. The glue has gelled nicely, so when I touch it with my fingers, it's not sticky at all. It's kind of just like feels a little bit damp or something, but it just pulls away very nicely, and it leaves really minimal residue. And whatever residue is there, you can just clean up with the hot water that's still in the glue pot. And this alternative method of leaving the glue on is the reason why I wax the bridge off and do that thoroughly. So the other method, of course, is to clamp the bridge on and then just clean the residue up straight away like you would with Titebond or something like that. And I've done it that way, but I've found that waiting, however long your glue batch needs to gel up and then pulling the residue off is a lot easier. And especially if the glue is not gelled and you're wiping a lot of water around the edges, you will absolutely weaken the strength of the glue around the edge, which is where you really want it and really need it. So thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff, and see you next time.